Marble is actually a sustainable surfacing material, which will surprise you with its compositions, manufacturing process, and technical characteristics. We go right to the source with Santa Margherita in Italy with Michele Caneva, Vice President of Sales. That's my pleasure to introduce to you Michele. Thank you.
My name is Michele Caneva, and I'm the sales manager at Santa Margherita. I would like to thank Beth, Lisa, and the Bioregional Americas team for giving us this great opportunity today. And I would also like to thank all the students that have decided to attend this presentation. I hope it's not going to be too boring. So Santa Margherita is an agglomerate marble manufacturer. We are located in Verona, which is in northern Italy at the foot of the Alps, in the so-called Verona Marble District. The Verona Marble District is an area that's very rich in marble quarries, and especially in Verona there is a big number of companies that are in the stone business, from quarry excavation to blocks processing, slabs, and all the services that are connected to the marble, to a point that Verona, together with Carrara, is considered one of the capitals of marble in the world. Before we talk about what we do and how we do it, I would like to show you a little video about the town we live in, which is Verona. Verona is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a town with more than 2,000-year history. It's a town of love, Romeo and Juliet. Is the town of wine. I'm sure you heard about the Amarone wine. And it's also the town of marble. The town is surrounded by several quarries of marble. Marbles that range from white to yellow to pink and red. And these marbles have been extensively used in the centuries to build the landmarks of the town, like the Roman Coliseum that we call the Arena as an example, which is still operating right now, and the squares, the palaces, the homes. The use of this marble in combination with bricks and other materials have given the town a specific characteristic, a specific pastel color, I would say, that is very peculiar to the town. And it is not only to be found in the marble itself, but in the buildings that surround, as an example, the market square, which is called in Italian Piazza Erbe. You can see now as an example the pavers of the square that are ranging between white and pink. As I said earlier, marble not only for monuments, but marble for the homes. And why marble? Not only because it's available, quarries are everywhere, but because it's a durable material. Every time in our tradition, in our mentality, every time we want to build something that will last forever, the ones we're seeing now are, as an example, the graves of the Scaligeri, the first lords of Verona. It's a masterpiece of the Gothic. Every time we want to build something for our homes, something that is meant to last for a long time, the first thought is marble. Marble is reliable. Marble is long-lasting. And as I said, marble is always used in combination with other materials. The bell tower of our dome, as an example, is a mix of marble and bricks, as well as the bridge of our castle, the so-called old castle, where you have a combination of marble as a structure and bricks. Now, in the old palaces all over northern Italy, so if you go to Venice, if you go to Verona, if you go to see the so-called Venetian villas, you can see marble not only used for the structural part of the building, but you can see it as a flooring. And sometimes you will see a specific type of flooring, which is called the terrazzo alla veneziana, Venetian terrazzo, or palladiana, from the architect Palladio that used it a lot in his villas. It's a specific type of flooring that's made by pouring directly on site marble chips joined with cement and then polished directly on site. This type of flooring not only can allow you to use the scraps of marble, the wastage, let's say, from the marble fabrication, but also allows you to create patterns and colors that otherwise would be very difficult to find in the nature. So we come from this heritage, we come from this tradition, and the Palladiana, the Terrazzo alla Veneziana, which has been in use for centuries and is still being done today. If you wish, you can have somebody, a master installer, to come to your house and do it. Was very common in the 60s of the last century, after the World War II, when the reconstruction was going on. If you see, as an example, this picture here, this is a contemporary kitchen, but it's installed in a room that where the floor tells us clearly that the material is dating, the room is dating back to the beginning of the 60s. So at the beginning of the 60s, the reconstruction was going on, and we had this specific type of flooring that was installed on site. The installation was taking a lot of time, and the demand was so big that some local entrepreneurs, and among them Santa Margherita's promoters, invented the industrial terrazzo. So what is the industrial terrazzo? It's like making a big cake. You basically mix marble chips with a binder that at the beginning was cement. So at the beginning they were mixing the marble chips with cement. They were then pouring this mixture in a metallic mold, and then the mixture was vapor compressed under vacuum. What does mean under vacuum? It means that they were taking the air out of the mixture, so to avoid to have little bits, little holes inside the material. Then they were leaving the block outside for about a month to allow the cement to cure. And after that, the block was ready. So they were cutting the block in slabs, and the slabs were polished and cut into tiles. And then finally, the tiles were sold to the installers that were installing the new homes in town. And at that point, these tiles were making their life easy, because it was easy to install, especially quick to install. So this is how we started, where we come from. Of course, decades have passed, and nowadays the product is a little different. One thing, if you have any question, if you don't understand what they say, or if you would like to, if you have a curiosity, don't wait till the end of this presentation. Post your question on the chat, so the Bioregional Americas team will have time to review it, and then we will go through your questions at the end of the presentation. So today's agglomerates are made with 90–95% of marble chips, 4 to 8% of polyester resin. This is the big change compared to the product of the beginning of the 60s, the binder. Why polyester resin? Because polyester resin allows you to make tiles that are thin. So 3/8 of an inch, 9 millimeters, or ½ inch, which is 12 millimeters, compared to the previous thickness that was 20 or 25 millimeters. This means that the material is lighter. It costs less money for the freight, and also can be installed easier. The resin then is also giving some technical advantages. The material is more flexible, so there is a bigger resistance to cracks. And then, most important, polyester resin is allowing you to be creative, because you can add pigments to the polyester resin and create the colors you want, which is not feasible with cement. So we will now go through the design stage first, and then the production process. So how we develop. No, there is a little detail first. The marbles we use are coming usually from quarries that are located 350 miles maximum from our factory. Why this? Well, first of all, because we're lucky. We're lucky, and within 350 miles, there is plenty of marble quarries. We have the Alps, we have the Appennini, and there are a lot of marble quarries that give a lot of marbles in different colors. The second reason why is because marble is heavy, and bringing in marble from too far can be not very economical. Can be not convenient. So we decided to base our production on marbles that are within a certain area, so we can bring them in and still be sustainable. What we buy from the quarries is usually stones that are not suitable for the natural stone industry. When I say natural stone industry, I mean the industry that sells natural marbles. So they need blocks. They need blocks of a certain shape, of a certain size. Everything that doesn't fit their criteria is kind of a wastage, is a scrape of the quarry. So what do? We buy these blocks that are out of shape. We buy these stones, normally between 20 and 70 centimeters diameter, and we bring them to our factory in order to use them for our production. This way, we help the quarry owners to keep the quarry clean, and this way we also slow down the excavation process of the quarry itself. At the same time, we give a second life to these stones that otherwise would be like thrown away, or in the best case scenario would be used as to do the substrate for the roads. We give them a new life, a second life. So let's go back to what I told earlier. The first step is to design a product. The design of a product is made in the lab according to certain criteria. The first criteria is the selection of the marble chips. So our lab, or the designer we work with, will select the marbles they want to work with according to the color of the marble, according to the shape of the marble grades, according to the size of the marble grades, and then they will also set up the background color of this marble of this future agglomerate using international reference like a Pantone reference or an RAL reference. And then in the lab we'll make a little cake. We mix in the lab the marble chips with calcium carbonate, with resin. The mixture will then be poured in a mold and then vibro-compressed. So we press it. It's like making cookies. And once the tile is ready, we trim the tile and we grind it and we polish it. So polishing a marble is a process that is done through abrasive tools, which is starting from diamond and then going down in softness, that brings up the shining of the material. This way, we get the final look of the sample. Not always we get a good result. not always we are satisfied with the result. Not always the tile is exactly what we wanted or what the designer wanted. So usually when the tile is ready, it is sent to the designer. The designer will either approve it, which is the best case scenario, or we send it back with some comments. So like in this case, the background shade is off. I need it to be a little darker, or please reduce the quantity of the black chips, increase the quantity of the white, and so on and so forth. Usually, this process means that we go back 3-4 times before we get to the approved sample. Sometimes it's not that easy. I remember one time a project in North America where I got the green light after sample number 17 was submitted. Once the tile is approved, the little cake has been approved, we can move forward and go for the big production. So we move from a scenario where we mix just a few pounds of stone and resin to a scenario where we work with tons of raw material. The first thing is to bring in the stones. The stones, as I said earlier, they come in a shape that is between 20 and 70 centimeters, and they are crushed. They are crushed to different sizes, to several sizes, depending on what we need to do. So usually they go between half a centimeter to 7 centimeters. So from 2/8 of an inch to 3 inches. To make an agglomerate, we don't need one size only. We normally need a mix of different sizes. These different sizes are then moved on a conveyor belt to the production plant, where there is a big mixer waiting. So the marble will enter the mixer, and the mixer will start mixing. Together with the marble, we start putting also the polyester resin and the other additives, and we start mixing, and we mix. We mix for several minutes until the mixture is consistent and is ready. So when the mixture is ready, we open a door at the bottom of the mixer. The mixture falls down. There is a metallic mold waiting, so we fill this metallic mold, and at this point we close the doors and we make vacuum. What means we make vacuum? We take the air out of the room, so we take all the air bubbles that are inside the mixture out of the mixture. The second step is not only vacuum, but we vibro compress the material, we press it. The result, between 30 and 50 minutes later, is a block that is still not ready. It needs to harden. So what we do, we leave this block in a metallic mold for 3-4 hours. And after this time, we can take the block out of the mold and move it to an area where the block will rest between 7 and 10 days. During this time, the resin will harden we complete the hardening, and at this point, we can take the block and process it. So we have a big stock of blocks ready to be processed. So the moment we need to create flooring or slabs, we take a block and we cut it. We cut it with these big machineries that are called vertical gang saws. It's a machinery that uses a set of blades, and they cut all the block in one time. So we can cut a block in 2 centimeters, in 12 millimeters, in 30 millimeters, depending on what we need to do. When the block is cut and the slabs are ready, they enter the finishing line. So the first thing is to grind them, and then to fill the surface with a little glue, with a little layer of glue. This glue is needed because in the stones you still have some little pits, some little holes, and you need to fill them, because otherwise you will have a problem with the final product. So we fill the surface, and once it's filled, this glue goes under an oven, so it will dry in a short period of time. It's a matter of a few minutes, and then we continue to the polishing machine. The polishing machine is, as we saw earlier in the lab, it's a machine with heads that are rotating, with making pressure over the material and take the material from a raw appearance to a shining surface, so to a polished surface, or less, to a honed surface, depending on the need of the project. Once the slab is ready, there is an inspection. So we take a look at the product. The inspector will check if there are cracks, holes, if there is foreign material inside, if the color is consistent, if there are any problems in the polishing, like scratches and so on. And then we will put a label on the slab. We will put a plastic film to protect it, and the slab will be moved to the inventory. In case the customer has ordered some tiles, instead of putting the slab to the inventory, the slab will continue on the line, will be cut with a set of discs that will cut strips on the length, and then a second set of discs will cut the tiles on the other direction. Right now, the market is asking for big formats. So if in the past customers were happy in having 12 by 12 or 16 by 16 tiles, right now we're talking about 24 by 24, 48 by 48, 24 by 48. The market is going on bigger sizes in general, in all the materials, not only in marble. What we see here is the chamfering of the edges. So we take the chamfer of the edges, then the tiles are dried, cleaned. There is a quality selection, so the tiles that have a problem are removed from the line, and then at this point the tile will proceed to the packing. So they will be packed in cardboards, and the cardboards will be packed in crates, ready to be shipped to the customer. Okay, so why is a material that was invented almost 60 years ago still an option for today? For many reasons. It's a versatile material, meaning that it's good for flooring. You can do stairs, you can do window sills, you can do wall application, everything indoors. The material is not suitable for outdoor application. It's reliable because it's made of marble, and marble is a durable material. You can rely on it. It's a very hard material. Very important for today's market, can be reproduced. It's an industrial product. It's not like a slab of natural stone that you have and you might not find it in the future, which is the beauty also of the natural stone. Here we are in industry, so we can reproduce the material over time. It's sustainable because it's made mainly with material that doesn't have, that is a wastage of the factory. It's a scrap of the factory. So we are recycling material from the factory. It's a local content and doesn't need a very heavy maintenance. When it comes to big projects, the material is one of the best options. Why? Because it can be available in big quantities in a short period of time. I always make this example. There is a beautiful subway station in New York, the subway station of the World Trade Center, where an Italian marble called Lasa was used. Now, to be able to supply just that project, the marble quarry has been busy for almost 3 years and has not been able to sell to anybody else. Just to give, if you want to do a big project in natural stone, this is the price you have to pay. So it takes time, and you're not sure you can actually finish it. With an industrial product, it's a totally different matter. Okay, now I would like to show you at the end of this presentation 3 case studies, 3 projects where agglomerate marble has been used. The first one is very famous, doesn't need any presentation, is the flagship store of Saks Fifth Avenue, on Fifth Avenue, next to the St. Patrick's Church and just in front of the Rockefeller Center, a building that will soon turn 100 years, and that a few years ago has been renovated. We've been working on this project together with our customer in New York, Karen Pierce, and for every single floor, we have developed a custom color. So remember the design stage at the beginning. We have created a custom color for every floor. So these pictures that we are seeing as an example is a marble called Bardiglio, tumbled, so the stones are round, with a specific gray as a background, and then also some mirrors inside. Every floor has a different marble, a different pattern, a different characteristic. This one we're seeing as an example is the women shoes and bags, where a Greek marble called striato argento has been used, not tumbled from a technical standpoint, so just crushed stones. And the marble has been used in combination with natural stone and with carpet. This is one of my favorite projects. This is, I think that the final result is just amazing. The combination of the shade of the white and gray in combination with the purple of the marble, the furniture, the lighting. This is one of my favorites. Another color always made for this project is the one for the men's fashion. So colors for men, brown, gray, black, blended together. Again here, a different marble with a specific background color that has been set up in the lab. And the material is not just flooring. It's a stair, as an example, where thick threads have been created with the anti-slip finish to comply with the anti-slip coefficient. There are other colors in the same building, and we're still working actually on it. The second project is a small boutique-like project. It's called Société Bar and Bistro. It's in Budapest, in Hungary. It's been designed by a local firm called 81 Fonts. They have used 3 basic colors of our line that are made with Carrara marble, in a tumbled version again, so with the round stones, with a white, with gray, and with a black background. What I like of this project, is that it's not just flooring. They have been very creative. They've been using the material on floor in combination with wood, with brass, with the lighting, with furniture. They've been using the material on the walls as mosaic. Let me see a picture now. Here it is. So it's a herringbone pattern on the walls, which I find very elegant, especially in combination with the lighting. The material has been also used in combination with wood. Has been used for the stairs. And the final application also for tables. Now, remember, tables in marble are still subject to etching with food. So if you have Coca-Cola falling on the surface, or coffee, tea, lemon juice, as an example, you can etch it. But there are products in the market that can help you in creating like a layer that will on the very surface of the marble that will protect it from the acid stuff. The last project is something different compared to what we've seen now so far. So remember, so far we've seen an agglomerate marble that is a terrazzo look. So it's coming from our tradition. It's a modern reinterpretation of the Palladiana, big chunks of marble with different colors, different marbles, and so on. This is something different. This is the Bahrain International Airport, where almost 800,000 square feet of agglomerate marble have been supplied. Here, the request was for a white, fine grit material. Now, making it in natural stone, it was almost impossible. There is no marble in the market that can grant you a quantity like that. At the same time, porcelain, as an example, is not exactly a good option because it's very rigid as material, and the airport is a building that is subject to a lot of vibration. So agglomerate marble happens to be one of the best solutions, because the polyester resin is given to the marble a good flexural strength, so it will resist the vibrations. At the same time, it's an industrial product, so it can be produced and reproduced in the same shade until you get to the final quantity. In this case, a significant quantity. It took about, I would say, a year and a half to supply this project, but I find it amazing and also interesting as a development of the original pattern. So starting from a tradition of reusing the marble scraps for residential home application, and ending up with a product that has a totally different look for a big commercial infrastructure like an airport. Okay, this was the presentation. I hope you didn't fall asleep. And I would thank everybody for attending this presentation. And if you have any question, I will be more than happy to answer. I see Elisa.
Yes, Michele, thank you so much. That was a fascinating, incredible look at the process. I know I learned so much. I'm sure that the students did as well. We're going to switch over to audience Q&A. Students, if you have any questions, go ahead and submit those now. First question, we'd love to hear more about how you began your career, how you ended up at Santa Margherita, why marble?
Well, I was born here. So if you were born here, there are a couple of options. You either work in tourism, because the Verona is a touristic town. We have the Garda Lake, so that's packed with tourists 8 months a year. Or you work in marble, if you want to stay here, of course. So I always had a passion for foreign languages. I studied, even though I sell marble, but I studied Russian literature. So when I graduated, the company offered me a job. That was in 1996. And they offered me a job because I happened to speak Russian and Polish. And that was the time when the Eastern European markets were opening. And they needed somebody to speak the language and to start working. So I started from zero because I didn't know anything about marble. I didn't know anything about the business I was entering. I just knew the language. So slowly, I learned. I listened a lot. I learned. I had fantastic mentors that helped me in growing from a technical standpoint and from a professional standpoint. A couple of them are still with me, even if I've been in the company for 25 years. And over time, I found I liked the job, and so I decided to stay in the industry.
That's great. How do you decide what type of marble you'll use for a project?
Sorry?
How do you decide what type of marble you'll use in a project?
For me, personally?
Or for the company?
No, we have an R&D, and they decide the marbles that we are using, because not all the marbles are suitable for the agglomerate marble production. So when they have to select a marble, there are some very specific technical characteristics that they need to meet. So we start from the look. Oh, I need a purple marble, I need a green marble, but then from that, we have to make sure the material is available, the material is technically suitable for the production, the material doesn't have a problem in outsourcing, as an example. The material doesn't contain any minerals that can then be dangerous. As an example, there are some marbles that contain asbestos. So we have to be very careful with the chemical composition of the marbles themselves, because we cannot allow ourselves to put something in the market that will cause a problem to the customers. So I have my technical team that kind of go through I had a meeting this morning, by the way, about it. It's funny because we have a customer that is asking us to use some marbles we never used. And every time I approach them, they are like, "Oh, what do you want?" But yes, we'll make it happen.
That makes sense. Just to define for the students R&D, what that means.
Research and development. It's a technical department.
Great, thank you. Are there limits to the colors that you can make with marble?
Well, virtually we can make any color. We as a company have we do limit ourselves if we feel that the color cannot perform once installed, we prefer to say no. As an example, if you come to me, if you are a customer and you come to me and you tell me that you want a dark blue agglomerate. Now, there are no dark blue marbles, or There are, but they are not easy to find and they're extremely expensive. So you can tell me, okay, you add pigments to a white marble and you make it blue. Yes, I can do it. The problem is the moment you put it on the floor and you stay in a commercial environment, as an example, and you start walking on it, you will scratch it. And since the blue is just a pigment, the moment you scratch it, the scratch will be white. So 3 weeks after opening your building, you will come back to me, say, hey, what did you sell me? So there is an ethic, a professional ethic behind it. We are here normally to consult the customer to find a compromise between the needs of the customer, the wish of the customer, and what is technically feasible. Sometimes you have to say no. It's better to say no than to say yes and then be sorry.
Absolutely. Definitely. And just to give the students some context, you are coming from the factory. So some of these background noises we're hearing are from the factory.
Well, if you hear right now, there is a baby crying in the next room. I don't know why. But yes, it's a family. Well, the baby is not part of the family, actually. Probably is a customer visiting with the baby. It's a family factory anyway. The factory is owned by 2 families, and that are the families that started the business 60 years ago. The founders are not there anymore. The kids still run the business.
Great. That's too funny. We thought it was a saw machine cutting marble.
No, that's a kid. He's been crying for 20 minutes now, right in the middle of the presentation, of course.
Oh, good. Next question that we have, what are the ways in which you're able to continue working with marble and at the same time not endanger the marble resources in Italy? Are there extraction protocols in place?
Oh yeah, big time. In fact, often it happens. In the past, they were opening quarries everywhere. Right now, to get the license to open a new quarry is almost impossible. And some of the quarries that are operating are getting closed because they get to a point where, as an example, they get too close to a town, or they get to a point where they can endanger the geological structure of the mountain, as an example. So sometimes it happens that you are using material, you're using a marble, and then at a certain point you have to discontinue it. It happened. I mean, I've been here for 25 years, and in these years it happened probably 3-4 times that we had to discontinue a product because simply the quarry was not available anymore. They're very conscious here about the quarries, and that's why the product we make is kind of helping in slowing down the excavation of the quarries, because instead of keeping on excavating, we give a second chance, let's say, to material that's been excavated and otherwise is sitting there and doing nothing.
Right. Does Santa Margherita help to fabricate custom furniture like the table example that you showed us in the Budapest project?
We, as Santa Margherita, do not fabricate anything for the very simple reason that most of our customers are fabricators. The moment I start fabricating, the customers will not be happy. But what we do, we often do cooperate with designers, interior designers, furniture designers. They come to us with their ideas, with their drawings, and then we simply put them in touch with the fabricators that will be able to process the material and turn their ideas into tables, into chairs, into whatever.
Great. Last question that we have, any final words of advice or wisdom for the students tuning in today?
Perseverance. The moment you choose to do something, you need to put all your efforts in making it happen. And don't be disappointed if you don't get there immediately. It takes years to build a career, and it's sometimes you have to pay a price for it. I'm lucky. I have a wife, I have a family. They're still there, but for many years I've been traveling like 6 months a year. But I mean, we found a certain compromise. My wife, well, now with the COVID, I'm not traveling, so my wife sometimes tells me, well, "When are you leaving next time?" So, but perseverance. I mean, don't give up if you don't succeed. Well, if you feel that what you choose is not actually what you like, it's better to change. But it takes long time to learn and to feel confident on what you do. I remember at the very beginning, I will tell you this one and then we can finish. I started working here in November 1996. And in the spring 1997, on that time, of course, I was learning. So one of my mentors, who was on that time in charge for the German market, took me to a big stone show in Germany, in Nuremberg. So we were on the booth, working on the booth, and with all the samples, the materials on the wall, and so on. And at a certain point, I'm talking to these customers, and they asked me, "Okay, what is the name of this color? What is the name of this color?" And I couldn't remember it. So I said, "Okay, give me a second." I took a catalog, started looking through the catalog. I said, "Okay, this is this, and this is what." So they look at me smiling, and they say, "Okay, how long have you been working for the company?" I said, "Well, it's 4 months. Don't worry, you will remember the names sooner or later." So yeah, perseverance.
Absolutely. That's great advice and a good reminder. Well, students, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to learn more about Santa Margherita, you can visit santamargherita.net. Michele, I want to say another huge thank you. This was so fascinating, a great look at Marble and the company. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Be Original Americas, for this great opportunity. And what can I say? Ciao.
Ciao.